Welcome to part 5, which I think will be the last part of this video series. And let me just say right at the outset, if you hear any screaming in the background, it's one of my kids probably trying to get a Java app to compile or something. So if you hear anything like that, don't be afraid. Okay, anyway, all right, let's get moving here. So at this point, all we have left to do is implement the save and the delete. So let's take a look at the save first of all. The first thing we want to do with our save method, we are going to want to make sure that everything is valid in the model coming from the view. Unfortunately, they make it very easy to do this. There's a model state property of the controller which automatically links to the view and tells you if the data on the view is legit, if it's valid or not. So all you have to do is call this read this is valid property. And if it's not valid, then what we want to do is go right back to the place they were at. And because everything is bound, all you really need to do here is repopulate the teams and head on back. Now, I'm going to, I just said that, but I think I might have lied. I'm going to do everything. I think I'm wrong about that. So I'm just going to put this code back in like this. So if the model state is not valid, we're going to put these all back. Now, the issue here, of course, is that the player is empty. Now that's because I don't want the ID here. I actually want the player object. It turns out that the save method will get the entire player object, not just the ID, which makes sense because you need all the data in order to do the save. So for the save method, the definition or the header for the method, you should have the object passed in as a parameter, not the ID. ID comes in on the delete, the edit, I guess be the edit and the delete get the IDs, and then the save gets the whole object. So all this code now is fine, and then the only thing left here is to redirect the user to the view, player form view, basically. So if they screw up, we're going to send them right back where they came from. Now if they make it past that, then we're down to here. So now if we're adding, we need to do something different as opposed to if we're editing. And the way that you tell the difference is by looking at the ID of the object that got passed in. So if player.id is 0, then we're adding. So what we want to do in that case is, because we already know everything's valid, so we simply go to the context object, go to the players collection, and add the player into the database like that. Now, we have to call save changes, but I'm going to do that here in a minute because whether we're adding or editing, we need to do save changes. So I'll put the save changes down here because both need to do this. In the else case, what we need to do here, if they're editing, is we need to put this in. Now, in Entity Framework, I can't just call save changes. I have to actually get the object from the database as in its current state, edit the object, and then save it. So what I actually end up having to do is get the object from the database like this. So you create a variable, and you set it equal to context.players.single, and you pass the ID to it as a search parameter. You get the player, and then what you do is you transfer the attributes from the player that got passed into the object that you want to save. So you're getting this object, editing it, and then saving it. That's the appropriate way to save something in the Entity Framework. And if you ran into this problem in the previous assignment where you weren't able to save off of an edit, that's probably the reason for that problem. So then after all is said and done, we take them back to the index page. So let's take a look at the delete, and that's the last thing we've got. So they're going to pass an ID in on the delete method, and we want to make sure that ID is legit. So just like we did with the edit, we're going to create a variable and test it to see if it's null or not. And just like before, if it's null, we're going to redirect the user to the index page of the player's controller. Otherwise, if it makes it past this, then all we have to do is remove the object from the database, which you do by referencing context, players, remove, and then the player that you retrieved. Now again, this player was retrieved in the method here, so it's a valid object that can safely be removed without any problems. So I do the remove, and then once I've done the remove, don't forget you need to call save changes to persist that change. So I will do that next. And then we're going to return the user back to index players. All right, let's see if this is working. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to bring up my browser here. So I'll click on create player, type in a player name, pick a team, hit save, and the player's there. If I go to click to edit, make a change to the name and the rank, even the team, why not? Hit save, and the test is there. If I go to delete this thing, I hit delete, it's gone. So everything's working at this point. Let me try create player and do something where I screw something up, like I put 90 and that. Say I forget to pick a team. You can see here that the validation is kicking in. Now, one of the things you can do is you can make the code or the text red for these instead of black like it is now. And to do that, you have to go into your content folder and go to open up a file named site.css and add to that these two style classes. These will style fields that have errors red if they're labels, and if they're input boxes, it'll style them red. I'm going to save that change and run this again and see if that works as it should. Okay, so if I come in and try to create a new player and I forget to type in the name, or say I don't pick the team, and I click save, I'll get the colors in red now. And say if I pick a team and I don't do the name, I'll still get red on the name. So after that, say I go to edit and I lap the name off, I hit save, I have my validation now in red. It turns out that the team code, all the team views and controllers and everything you take the same approach that you take with player. So the team's controller has in it the same approach. You create your context object at the beginning. You have a constructor that creates it, moves it up, and dispose method. You have an index view or action method that creates the view model, passes a list of teams to it, and brings up the index view for the view itself. Now, new. Turns out for new, if you look at this new compared to the players controller, when I did new for players, I had to get a list of teams set up and a default rank. But for teams, I don't have to do anything because it's an empty page. Well, all it has are a couple text boxes on it, name, the team, and the sponsor. For the edit, I get the team, I make sure it's valid, and I pass the team into the view model. So the team form view model only needs a set of attributes that make up a team, the title property, a constructor with nothing that sets the ID to 0, and a constructor with a team object that preloads the properties, just like you did with player. And then the controller here works the same. Delete works the same. Here I put up an HTTP not found if there's an error. In the other example, I redirected them to the index, which I think is a better approach. But other than that, everything else in here is the same. The views for teams looks like this, where you have the same approach. You have a table with the IDs and the links, and then the team form view looks like this. Again, you only have 2 text boxes here, so it's very simple, but that's all you really have to worry about. And here's my team form view model, which we looked at already, and the team view model is just a list of teams in it. That's basically it. The key is really the startup, getting everything done at the beginning, set up the right way, and once you've done that, everything pretty much flows from there. So I'm going to end here, and if you all have any questions, obviously you can always reach me, and I'd be happy to help you out. Otherwise, hope it goes well for you in the assignment, and we'll talk to you soon. Thanks for watching.